I'm just looking at it right now and I'm like, Michelle, why did you start this? But I did, and here I am, dealing with the consequences of my own actions. Michelle here, also known as Fancy Dinosaur Tea Party, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna organize my yarn, and I am not looking forward to it. If you're new to my channel, you like sewing, crafting, crocheting, and thrifting, why not hit that subscribe button? Okay, so here's the thing. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know I do a lot of crochet videos, which means I work a lot with yarn. And when you work a lot with yarn, you end up having to buy a lot of yarn for these projects. And although I would love to say that I am a very organized person, I am not. I am not. I have so much stuff going on in my head, like so many different projects that I'm thinking of, even though I'm not working on them, that I can't just focus on one. What is that? You see? I just lost focus on something else, okay? This is why I'm just not an organized person. And I don't think I'll ever be organized. Anywho, today I'm gonna hopefully change a little bit about that and just clean up my yarn. The only way that I can describe my yarn storage situation is a Rat King like scenario. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's when a bunch of rats get their tails all kind of like connected and then they can't move on their own and they have to like be one being. That is my yarn, and I really tried for that not to happen because it's happened before. I like to, you know, do show and tell where I show you the yarn that I'm working with, but it is so messed up and so connected that I can't, because I have them all in like different bags, but they're all connected into each bag. It's a disaster. I want to really organize my yarn, and how I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to borrow my sister's yarn winder. It's one of those that you can get on Amazon, and I probably should have bought one, and maybe I will buy one in the future. I do, however, have a big clear bin in the garage that is holding some other things that I probably need to organize, but I'm gonna put those in something else and take that box and put the yarn in it. How I would like to organize this today. I want to organize it by weight. Usually it's a really chunky yarn, then I have really chunky yarn, and then I have, you know, like the chunky yarn that you would make like plushes out of, like, you know, stuffed animals. And then I have like the regular medium weight acrylic yarn that I use basically for everything. And then I also do have a few cotton yarns. Also kind of want to color code them. I don't know how it's gonna all work. Also, any yarn that looks like this that's still wound up that I might have used a little bit of yarn for, but still has its label on it, I'm not gonna unwind it or anything, because I'm like, you know what, I haven't used it yet. I'm just gonna leave it like this because it's already like nice and neat and packaged, except for like, you know, this. I'll probably have to like tie that in somewhere. But anything that I've already balled up or that's just a chaotic mess, I will be rewinding it. And I know that's gonna take some time, but again, I don't really have a social life outside of going to work and filming YouTube videos, so I have all the time in the world to finally go through all my yarn, so that should be fun. This is my yarn, and there's more underneath my bed that I need to go through. So originally I had these organized. So over here was originally like all the cool tones, and then at one point one of these was the warm tones. Let me tell you, I have no idea how this happened. I was trying my best to keep everything organized, and then this happened. I have stuff in this bag, this box, and then I have this miscellaneous bag of yarn. I think this is a lot more like thicker, bulkier yarn. A knitting needle that I tried knitting. I think this is some type of tapestry thing that I had made. Yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff that I have to go through this. I have to go through this. I have to go through that, and I have to go through that. Yeah. You seen what I'm dealing with. I don't understand. Like, I understand. Like, I get it. It's usually when I'm looking for a certain color, and then I'm like digging through all this yarn. Some of it just unravels, or it just gets all tangled up. That is why I'm organizing my yarn, so then that way in the future, I'll be able to be like, oh, well, the color that I'm looking for and the size that I'm looking for is in this bin, so I don't have to rummage through the other bins because I know it's not going to be in there, okay? And it's usually when I get frustrated is when it becomes a problem. So this is what I am borrowing from my sister. This is the yarn winder. I'm pretty sure she got it off of Amazon. The brand is Knit Picks. Probably need to buy one of these. I know I need to buy one of these, so that way in the future when I buy more yarn, because it's gonna happen. I'm not organizing my yarn and being like, hey Michelle, you never have to buy yarn ever again. No, like, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna be buying more yarn for more projects, so I might as well invest in one of these eventually. This here it gets clamped onto the table, and then what she told me, because I didn't look up a video, I'm just going by what she has said, is you put your yarn somewhere and then it goes through this little doodad here, and then you tie a knot and put it through this little notch, and then you take this handle and you wind it up. That's the plan. I'm gonna do this to all my yarn. Not the really chunky yarn. I think that I am just gonna wrap up into a ball because I don't think that it's gonna fit through this little hole right here. Sometimes I just keep labels. So if I have a label that I've kept for a color, like this one is for the black color that I have this yarn here. So say I take this and I wrap it up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna roll it up and I'm gonna put it in the center of the spool. That all being said, I now have to figure out where to start. So now I'm gonna go grab my yarn and I'm gonna start this whole thing because I just keep talking and not doing anything. I'm just looking at it right now and I'm like, Michelle, why did you start this? But I did, and here I am, dealing with the consequences of my own actions. Yay. This is the yarn I have to deal with. I do want to point out, never use a paper bag to store your yarn because it rips, and I'm just going to dump it out now. I'm going to untangle everything, and then when it's all untangled, then I can take like this color and wind it up. Okay, how did this happen? How did I get fabric tied into the yarn? It's not even just the one thing that's getting mixed up. It's like all my hobbies are getting mixed up. Why is there fabric? Why is there fabric? Why is there fabric? I thought I could just throw this bag somewhere and get it out of my way. Nope, the yarn has looped its way through the bag, but it's getting smaller. It's getting smaller. So as you can see, I have given up trying to get this all untangled. I did want to get it untangled, but it's too far gone. And I'm not gonna like throw this out. I am actually gonna keep it. I know, I'm gonna keep it in a Ziploc bag so it does not get any more worse than this. And I think if I ever have a project where I just need some like stuffing for something, then I can just use this. So it's not gonna go to waste. I can't spend all day untangling this. It's too far gone. This is what's left over. I wish I could have untangled this better. I'm gonna go move on. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna sit in bed and organize these and watch some TV. This is gonna take a very long process, so I'm not gonna film it all. I am gonna show you how this works. But yeah, so what I ended up doing is I just have this like table. It's a little broken. But anyways, I don't really use this much anymore, so it kind of broke. But anyhow, what I did is I just attached it like this and put it on my lap. That way I can just sit in bed and work on this. First off, I have to get cozy. I need to put my blanket on. I'm getting cozy in bed before I start this. But I'm actually gonna use this, which is just a bowl that I got from the Dollarama years ago because I just like how it looks. And this is what I used to put my yarn in. I need to get myself still a nice wooden yarn bowl, you know? But I'm gonna put my yarn in there, grab this, and then it goes through this here, just like this, and then you put a knot in the end of it. I'll do like a little slip knot so then that way if I want to I can undo that. And then I'm gonna take this and through, oh, there's two little lines here. Just gonna stick that just like that, and then I'm just gonna turn. And then it just pops off. And there it is. This took me less than 5 minutes. It's not super tight. It still has a little bit of like, it's kind of spongy, but I really like these because of how stackable they are. They're not gonna roll around. I have one done, and I have to still do all of these, plus there's some more in another corner, plus there's more in another box. All right, I'm on the last bin of yarn that I forgot about. That's why it's all tangled up. And do I know what else I keep in my yarn bin? Apparently, a lightsaber. Why do I have a lightsaber in here? So I sorted them out first by the color to see what I'm looking at, and I thought I had more warm tones. Also, how did I get this much green? I hardly use green, and I have all these green colors. I also have a lot of orange, so that's normal. The time currently is 6:46. I think I started this around 3:30, so it took me 3 hours to roll everything up. But it's fine, I was watching the IT crowd, so it's good. Now, there was a few that I decided just not to roll up, and one of them was this one here, and this is the, oh, I forgot she was in the window. What are you doing in the window, Pippin? You're sitting behind this curtain, and then you just emerge out of nowhere. You little baby. Back to your regular scheduled programming. I didn't roll these ones up. These were the Craft Smart Value yarn, and the only reason I didn't wind these ones up, and I'll show you, because I did it to one, and it was not a good decision. First up, I want to show you this. This is a regular ball of yarn. This is the size that typically most of the yarn is. Like I said, this is the regular. This is the Great Value Ball. Drastic size difference. At a certain point, it just wasn't fitting on the holder properly. You can kind of tell it's like kind of like caving inwards. So I just decided not to roll any more of them up because it just kept getting like tangled up. Just did the one and realized not gonna do the rest of them like that. But for the most part, these worked actually pretty good. Now, what I have to do is I did bring the tote from outside inside. So I gotta put all these in the tote. But now I'm looking at all of them. I'm like, all of these could fit in the tote. All the yarn that I've done this to, all probably could fit in that tote. It's a bigger tote than I thought. Also, I thought I had way more yarn, but seeing them all laid out like this, there doesn't seem to be too much. And then there is a couple that were already like packaged like this that I didn't roll up, so maybe I'll put them in their own section. I don't know. It's just kind of getting to the point of the day that I'm like, do I just want to throw it all in a bag now? But no, future Michelle will hate past Michelle if right now Michelle does that. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna keep organizing and we'll see where we go. So I think I'm going to just put these in, and then I think I'm just going to separate it like cool tones and warm tones. I'll just start doing it and then it'll just make more sense, I think. So I thought I had hit the record button as I was placing all the yarn into this tote, and it was going to be like a time-lapse kind of video, and obviously I did not hit record, so they're already in the tote, and I was just a little too lazy to take them all out of the tote just to put them back into the tote. They're in the tote now, and that's what matters. Fit them all in. This is what it looks like kind of from the side here. I ended up putting all of the cool tones here, all the warm tones here. And what's really great is that these like really can squish, so if I wanted to, I can definitely squish these down and put more colors in if I need to. Now, I know I said that I was going to separate the thick ones from the thin ones. I don't have enough of like these totes, but also I don't think I need this big of a tote for like these thin ones up here. That's kind of why I just left them there, so that when I do have a tote for them, I'll be able to take them out and put them away properly. But for now, I think it is the safe bet just to keep them in here, so then that way they don't get tangled up in a bag or something like that. And now I just have to deal with the bigger yarn. I just have to figure out how to organize that now. So yesterday I spent 3 hours winding like 90% of my yarn. It took so much longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be like, oh, you know, we'll get it done in like an hour. No, I'm going to be working on this yarn. To deal with. And me doing that probably doesn't help the problem. And I got this tote. This used to have my Christmas stuff in it, but I mean, like, being back home, I don't need my own Christmas tree. I don't need my own Christmas stuff anymore, so I just kind of condensed that into another container in the garage that I don't have to worry about. I'm going to take this container and put all of this yarn in, as well as all the yarn that is rolled up like this. I think I'm going to put this more on the top because it's very rare that I actually use this. I think I was trying to make a hat one time. This type of yarn at the bottom because it's the yarn I'm not going to reach for the most. And then anything like this, which is newer yarn that I'm going to use for projects, I'd rather keep on the top. This I am just going to roll into a giant ball because I can make it pretty tight, and then that way hopefully it doesn't like fall all over the place. All that mess is this. Basically winding it up takes up no space. So now I'm going to add all of these just down here. So that is that. I've already given the yarn winder back to my sister, so I don't have it at the moment. But yeah, I think this looks pretty good, and there's still so much room in this tote that I can put more yarn in if I need to. All right, and I have all of my yarn stored into 2 totes plus like just a Sobeys bag for all of the like the little tiny things. I feel like if I were to put them into the totes, because they're so small, I feel like they might unravel and then I'm just gonna end up in the same situation I was at the beginning of this video. So I'm just gonna keep them in their own bag, and if they get tangled in their own bag, I'm not gonna be like, oh no, table, it's broken. I'm not gonna be like, oh, like great, I gotta reorganize it. I would just have to reorganize a bag, but that's fine. It's more like scrap. And then I also did separate the cotton, so that's in its own little spot as well because they're very small. Again, I just don't want to mix the small ones with the bigger ones because they're more likely to unravel. Just to have them in these two totes is just such a big thing for me. I wish I was that type of person that I could have like just a wall of yarn, but if you've seen my things, I would rather have this on the wall than yarn. Maybe one day when I have my own craft room, I'll have a whole yarn wall and a fabric wall and all that stuff. But that's in the future. The far, far, far future. When I'm probably 80 years old and can afford a house. So yeah, that will do it for this video. If you're new to my channel, you like sewing, crafting, crocheting, and thrifting, why not hit the subscribe button? You can also follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok, and that is the same Fancy Dinosaur Tea Party. I think that is it, so y'all have a good day now.